Welcome into Boxing Scene Today. When we look at the face of boxing, we've had them throughout boxing history. The first one I remember, Sugar Ray Leonard. According to the first page of Boxing Scene Today, it is Gervonta Davis taking on, of course, Jake Paul later in the year, who right now carries the mantle of face of boxing, now that there's a loss by Canelo. So the question is, how long will he have it? What legacy does he have? And also, where does the lightweight division go without him now that he has announced that he'll retire after the Jake Paul fight? To help me break it down, Jimmy Smith in studio alongside the champ, Paulie Malignaggi, the champ, Chris Algieri, joining us via Zoom. Well, we all saw it. He's the face of boxing right now, according to Boxing Scene, but he has said after Jake Paul, he is retiring. First face of boxing, Paulie, that I remember, I would say Sugar Ray Leonard when I was a little kid. He was the face of boxing doing 7-Up commercials that I'm old enough to remember. But the idea that there's a face of boxing who, let's be a little harsh about it, has accomplished less than Gervonta Davis, meaning we've had a lot of faces from Mike Tyson, but I can't think of anyone when I think of marquee fights who's done less. Am I wrong?
Well, there's never been a face of boxing that's never been in a 50-50 fight.
Right.
I mean, if that's the face of boxing, either the fans have gone down to the dumbest level possible, or the media themselves have gone down to the dumbest level possible for naming this guy as the face of boxing. I understand we don't have anything. The fact that maybe this is the biggest marquee name in the West at the moment,
right,
is certainly disturbing. But it also shows you that you can make anything into a star at this point because of the technology, the social media effect, and all this other stuff. The push can be given to anybody. The question, and we should be asking, is why was this guy pushed? Why was this guy pushed despite never being in a 50-50 fight? Why was he pushed?
I have an answer to that. I want to really hear from you, seriously, because I called his fights early on with PBC Boxing. When he was first getting started, 7-8-0. His style was incredible.
Yeah, but Jimmy, I was there too. I was there too, and he had a couple of fights.
Great?
He was inconsistent then too, though. There was moments where I saw him on those up and coming fights, and I was like, wow, this kid really got something. But then there was also fights before he even won titles, so he was still on the come up, where I was like, this kid ain't going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like he's looks average tonight. You know, so he was inconsistent even back then. You know, but he was winning.
But when he won. What it was like, whoa, the dramatic ability to impress people who don't know the sport well. Was that part of it?
I mean, Golovkin was doing the same thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we're going to talk about it from a punching power aspect. You know, there's other guys who have, major punching power that have had that. You know, like I said, for me, it's more sinister why a guy like this got pushed. You know what I mean? Like for me, there's, I don't even know if it starts to get political if I get into it. But to tell you the truth, for me, there's a certain reason why they pushed this guy, and I don't have anything against him personally. I think, bless him. He was able to be successful, take care of his family, do all that other stuff. But I think it's always supposed to be earned. And I think there's certain reasons why he didn't have to earn it.
When you look at it,
there's one thing about being pushed, and there's another thing about actually selling tickets. And he has been able to sell tickets.
No. I'm going to cut you off. To be pushed allows you to sell tickets because it makes you into a star. It gives you, it makes you become that product. If you're in everybody's living room, if you put on commercials,
people are going to tune in if you're not knocking people out like he was.
Golovkin was knocking people out too.
Golovkin didn't have a connection to the American culture.
Yeah, because they didn't push him. They didn't push him. They didn't push him.
There's a language barrier. That like he had his little quips and his little things that got people to like laugh and smile. But he wasn't going to be that crossover star for the.
All right, let's call it what it is. Is it the whole Ebonics hood culture thing?
I'm not saying it's that. I'm just saying at the end of the day,
why is it? Because you don't have to be black and be in the hood too. I mean, I get that that's part of the culture. But like I said, Andre Ward has, a connection to that and also to mainstream America. Sugar Ray Leonard had a connection to both as well. Even Mike Tyson, dare I say, before the jail term, which I personally think he got railroaded there, but he was doing Nintendo commercials and he was doing all the other stuff. There was a connection to both sides. There was a Hollywood connection and also he was still true to the culture.
He had a crossover appeal.
Yeah, there was so it's not like. You don't have to push this guy, dude. You know what I mean? There's other guys you can push. I don't know, bro.
But Chris, what do you think of my argument about he started out knocking people out and that sparked him a little bit. Is that what you think, Chris? Please.
Yeah, I'm not saying he wasn't pushed, and I'm not going to go as far as to say there's nefarious situations to get it going, but I am going to say like you still have to show up. It's like a home run hitter. You still got to get up to the plate and knock the ball out of the park, and that's what gets people excited.
But if you do it against AA pitchers, champ, in baseball fans are going to be smart enough to know that you're knocking it out of the park against AA pitchers. In boxing, it doesn't matter if it's AA pitchers. You're knocking them out.
You're being nostalgic. You're being nostalgic. We started out with this being nostalgic. We talked about but
Leonard,
that's long gone.
Ali, Tyson.
Guys, we're literally talking about the face of boxing could be Jake Paul soon, and the face of boxing is basically. Yeah, the face of boxing now is based on if you sell and if people tune in and how many eyes are tuning in when you fight. Gervonta Davis had that. Jake Paul has that. Now they're fighting each other.
Again,
these are
created
after
products.
This fight.
These are still created products. Jake made his name going to Walgreens and making funny faces. You know what I mean? And it was just blowing up on YouTube and whatnot, right? I mean, that's how he started.
The world we live in now, dude. It's unfortunate.
Okay,
it's not like Sugar Ray Leonard, who was the best fighter in the world and marketable. It's not like Oscar De La Hoya, who was a gold medalist, a great fighter and marketable.
But what I'm saying is technology allows us to make, if I want to take this shoe off right here, and I say I want to make my Nike sneaker into the best product possible, and I got enough money to push it behind it. I put it all over your social media platform, and I put it all over your TV set, and all over your phone, and all over. You know what, bro? You're gonna start to get curious about the shoe, even though there's absolutely nothing interesting about my shoe. It goes on my left foot. It's my shoe. It's cool in some ways, but there's absolutely no way you should be paying to see anything about this shoe. But I can convince enough people, if I got enough money behind it and push it enough ways and through enough social media, through enough platforms which now exist,
you
can get enough people to start paying to see the shoe.
If you kick some guy in the head with that shoe on, if
you
kick some guy in the head with that shoe and you knock him out, like I might want to see the next time. I want to see the rematch. That's how fight sports work.
If only the guy who threw the shoe at George Bush hit him. Imagine how famous that shoe would have been. Remember the guy who threw the shoe at George Bush when he missed?
Yeah, Chris. Let me ask you a question here. You all know that I was in WWE. I called Monday Night Raw, and I remember on Mondays when we would have our meeting, right, our production meeting, they would always talk about the house shows that happen Saturday and Sunday, right? So what they would do is they do SmackDown on Friday, they do a house show Saturday, house show Sunday, and then Raw. So they would kind of do a circuit, sort of. And one of the things Vince would always say is he'd go, "All right, what's happening at the house shows?" And I remember specifically Bobby Lashley was a heel at the time. He's a bad guy. And he started getting, they said, hey, he's getting face pops. What that means in the business is they're cheering him like he's a face. And I remember Vince going,
interesting.
Then turn him face. Yeah. And they went, if the crowd is reacting to that, okay, make Bobby laugh. And they started doing a program to make him a face. Yeah. He never went, we want this guy to be a face. We don't care what the crowd says. He went, oh, is the crowd doing this? Yeah, they're really liking that. Then keep doing that. Yep.
Yeah,
it was, you know what I mean, Chris? People have, and Chris and Paul, I understand your marketing point.
No, you're making a good point.
It's like, all right, he's knocking people out.
You're getting the reaction you want when you're doing a certain thing.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah. That's what Vince would say. Like, are there people cheering when he? All right, then he's gonna be a face now.
And to that exact point, but this is great because that actually is scripted. And
it's scripted. They can decide.
WWE, but listen, the WWE is scripted. Yet still, Vince McMahon has to go with the flow of what's happening out in the market. And you see that with these guys. Like, they're trying to push this guy, but that guy doesn't pop that way. This guy does for whatever reason. Gervonta was able to get the pop because if he didn't, you can't, like your shoe analogy. You really can't push the shoe. If the shoe is not knocking the guy out, if you get the pop.
If you get the pop, though, the shoe might get the pop. It depends what makes. For the shoe to get the pop, you either need the shoe. You need the shoe to either be promoted very well, or you need to dumb down the crowd so much. You need such a dumbed down crowd that they'll still pop the shoe. One or the other has to happen, or both. So we live in a generation where either the crowd has become so dumb that anything could be a star as long as you push it to them, or that we experiment with what we want to pop. I'll tell you my personal hypothesis on this conversation. I think they first tried with Adrien Broner, and I think Broner had better star power than Gervonta Davis because Broner actually had quick quips. He was a good trash talker. Yep. Even in limitation boxing-wise, he was still a world-class boxer. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to tell you he wasn't Andre Ward level, but he was very good, okay, in his moment. I think most people would agree with me there. But he was much more marketable. He was so quick with it, and sharp-witted, right? But you matched them very tough. And what happened?
He was matched very tough.
What happened to Broner? The product you were trying to throw out there, you got him. You used them up. You put him one tough fight after another. Now, granted, this may have also been AB because AB used to call out everybody. AB really wanted to fight everybody.
He really did,
and he fought everybody. Love him or hate him, AB called out everybody, and he fought everybody. I think this experiment was first tried with Adrien Broner, and the mistake they made was using him up too much, too many tough fights. So I think they went, okay, we got Adrien Broner 2.0, but he's actually like 0.5 because he's nowhere near the talking ability of Adrien Broner, nowhere near the wittiness of Adrien Broner, but he's got some power. No. He's got that flash pizzazz style as well. I think he's got half the tool set of Broner as far as marketability wise, but you didn't push him at all in terms of the direction of tough fights. Now you went the pendulum swung the complete other way because we're like, oh, we had a made star in Broner and we ruined it. Let's swing the pendulum the complete
Broner
other
also
way.
Had trouble with discipline.
So why Davis wasn't? Davis wasn't? I mean, you just push it under the rug.
Not recently. In recent
What do you mean recently? He got arrested a couple months ago for what he did. Either way, I'm not going to talk about that because, again, it's not
I meant staying in shape.
Gym discipline.
Yeah. I mean, getting in trouble is one thing.
But either way, that's not my business because I hate to talk about people's personal lives like that. So I'm not even going to bring up that stuff. But Broner had his issues. Gervonta has had his issues. What I'm saying is I'm just making the comparison that I think the reason they moved Gervonta so gingerly is because, okay, we've managed to pull it off again. We've pushed this kind of fighter into the living rooms of people again and made him into a star again. We've pulled this off twice. Let's not ruin it the second time the way we ruined it with Broner. Let's be careful the way we match him. But now you've gone the complete opposite way to where you match Broner way too tough. This situation is you matching this guy way too soft, way too soft. There's no middle ground here. There's no middle ground.
But champ, you're taking out the right of free will of the fighter.
Adrien Broner would have fought Shakur Stevenson. He would have fought Lomachenko. He would have fought all those guys. I'm telling you. He would have been calling for them
because he wanted to fight those guys. And listen, when you're a promoter and you got a loudmouth fighter that you want to protect, but you can't protect them because their mouth is getting them in
but
the fights that you can't. But being a loudmouth is part of the marketability,
though. It's part of the promotability.
Yeah,
Broner was way more marketable
Listen,
than Davis.
I want the guy who wants all the smoke and goes out there and loses tough fights. That's fine with me. I don't care. I don't care for undefeated guys. I don't want guys, taking the easy route so they can stay undefeated and have that forever. I want guys fighting guys. I like what you said. I want Broner calling guys out, taking tough fights, and losing. Okay, so what? He lost. He tried. It happens. When you fight the best in the world, you're going to lose. Now, you get these other guys that maybe don't want to take those risks. They don't want to call these guys out. They really just leave it up to the promoter and their managers. Yeah, whatever you guys say. When they say that, I'll leave it out to my promoter. That shows you that they're not taking the reins of their career. And we're seeing that more and more. When fighters take the reins, big fights happen. Because the promoters want to protect their asset. The fighters want to fight. But some fighters don't always want to fight. And we see that with guys. So you got to look at how much of this is this by design in terms of his marketability and his quote-unquote push, or how much does it fall on the fighter himself for not stepping into the driver's seat and taking control of his own career?
But also, he's kicking boxing in the teeth by never giving us a big fight and now just leaving the title in limbo here. Why give him
after a draw?
Roach?
After a draw.
Well, at least give Roach the decision. So if this guy wants to go fight Jake Paul, go ahead. Go F off and fight Jake Paul and retire for all we care. But now you hold the title in limbo. Your title is not going to become vacant for him fighting Jake Paul. So you get Lamont Roach is going another direction completely. At least give the decision to Roach, and then this guy goes fights Jake Paul, and whatever he wants to do, he does. Instead, you let him keep the title, and he's going to go fight Jake Paul and not give us the rematch. So, you're just kicking boxing in the teeth after everything it did for you.
What I'm curious about, Chris, I want to throw this to you. This idea that, when we talked about De La Hoya, Olympic gold medalist, incredibly marketable, the golden boy. When he fought Trinidad, I remember he was ahead, he was winning, he had it in the bag, and he started running. And in a sense, to a lot of fans, it confirmed the negative we already thought. We already thought he's a pretty boy. When it gets tough, he's going to fight not like a Mexican or Mexican-American fighter should. He's going to run. And that's exactly what he did. He confirmed to a lot of fans a negative they already kind of thought of him behind the scenes, right? The people who didn't like De La Hoya. The idea that Gervonta Davis retiring after a draw, to Paulie's point, first tough fight you have, Jimmy, is a draw robbery.
Oscar's resume prior to Trinidad already shits all over Gervonta's entire career resume. Oscar's resume just before Trinidad. Forget about after Trinidad, which is its own resume.
Right.
Oscar's resume pre-Trinidad shits all over Tank's whole entire career resume.
No, 100%. And
Ruelas, Miguel Angel Gonzalez,
he's not
Pernell Whitaker.
Jimmy's not comparing their resume.
I'm not comparing. What I'm saying is,
what he's talking about.
What I'm saying is, when you do something, you're talking about the fans. When the fans see them and go, "Oh, the first time you had a tough fight, You're right. And
what I'm saying is those were tough fights. He took on somebody, but he won them. He dominated because he was so good.
Guys, I'm telling you,
Whitaker, he was.
So De La Hoya had both. De La Hoya had the push and the marketability and the pedigree and the ability. Tough fights. He had everything.
He had it all.
Still, Jimmy, I'm picking up what you're.
Yeah, I'm from Southern California, so maybe I'm seeing it differently.
The market kicked him.
Right.
Still, the market kicked him because, like you said, the pretty boy, the guy who's not going to stand and fight. He's not going to go pure Mexican. He's not going to go cojones to the wall.
Latinos are also more strict about
very
that.
Very much.
But then look at this. Then his next big fight, he fights Shane Mosley. Stands his ground, which he probably shouldn't have done. He should have fought a different fight.
Outboxes him all day if he had done that. Yep.
And he fought balls out, and he loses. Now he's got 2 losses in his 2 biggest fights to date. And again, the market is going to kick you for that. So it doesn't matter. The push is there, but the market is ultimately going to sway the control of where the fighter goes.
You can make some of the people happy some of the time. You can't make all the people happy all the time. But I still think you gotta give back to the sport that gave to you. I'm sorry. And Oscar gave back.
And
in many ways.
De La Hoya certainly did.
And he still
and
does.
I wasn't.
Still is.
I wasn't one of
Oscar's
those.
clapbacks are the gift. They're
great. They're great.
This day. I'm sorry.
But this idea that like you said, when you look at Gervonta Davis, it doesn't help. First time you had a tough fight and you got a draw. And Shakur Stevenson said recently, and it's on BoxingScene if you want to check it out. He said, hey, look, if I'd gotten a draw with a guy that was a 16-1 favorite, my pride wouldn't let me not fight him.
Yeah.
The idea that Gervonta's doesn't, does that confirm?
Different DNA inside you. That you either have that backbone or you don't. I'm sorry. And that's the problem there. That's
exactly.
And that's the knock. That's one of my arguments.
That's the knock.
Anyone who tries to knock Floyd Mayweather, I'm like, come on, dude. This guy gave immediate rematches for tough fights, and in really tough fights. The Jose Luis Castillo fight, man, for all intents and purposes, he lost that first fight. He came right back and fought that guy and beat him handily. It wasn't even close. So,
I'll be honest with you, I used to watch that fight. The first 6 rounds of the rematch are tough. He pulls away in the second half of that fight.
Oh, for sure.
Even the first 6 rounds of this rematch, you're getting PTSD nightmares just as a fighter watching that. And you're like, wow.
And then
he starts to pull away. So Floyd.
That's
really
how good Floyd is. He rose above that.
Yep.
They're still close. The Maidana fight. The first fight, Maidana was hell. Fights him again the second time. I mean, beats him, no question. So, you got a guy like Gervonta, who I personally think has been checked out for way longer than this last fight. I think he was checked out prior to the Roach fight. I thought this was all going to be in the works, where he was supposed to beat the 16-1 Roach and then go on to fight Jake Paul and then call it a career, because I think the people around him understood there wasn't much left in the tank for him in terms of his want or his desire to be here. He did an interview with Dan Canobio about 18 months ago where he was like, yeah, man, I just kind of want to raise my family. I don't know how much left of boxing for me. I don't want to see a therapist. I want to, I need to, but I don't want to take away from my fighting. But I think it's time for me to do stuff like that. So I think the writing's been on the wall for Tank for a while. So that draw was kind of just like, I was on the way out anyway. I don't need to go back in there. And I said it at the end of that fight. I'm like, there's no way we see that rematch. He was so uncomfortable in that ring with Roach. He doesn't want to feel that again. He showed that night. So I'm not surprised that fight's not happening. I'm not even surprised he's fighting Jake Paul now. It's a cash out.
The 2 fights where he was a little bit uncomfortable, he was still heavily favored in both. It was Pitbull Cruz. That was actually Pitbull's coming out party. Nobody really knew Pitbull prior. Yep. But he, if you notice, Tank likes to do this. He'll give like nondescript guys chances because he thinks it's going to be an easy fight. And then once in a while, it ends up being a tougher fight. I remember Pitbull, the 2 tough fights where he got pushed. The Pitbull fight, Jim Gray asked him if you're going to rematch. What was his answer? Remember what his answer was in the post-fight interview with Jim Gray? Rematch?
He shut it down.
Hell no.
Yeah, he shut it down.
At least I give him credit. At least he was blunt about it. He didn't try to beat around the bush. I give you credit there. He's blunt about it. I don't want to go anywhere near this guy again, and that's it. And then with Lamont Roach, he beat around the bush. And then he ended up doing the Jake Paul fight. So, and those are the only 2 times he's been pushed, and they were both fights where he wasn't supposed to be pushed. So just imagine the fighters that were around that would have been expected to push him, because they were around. They've been around in both weight classes that he fought in, and he just didn't fight them. And like you said, Shakur said, my pride wouldn't let me live with that. But that's, again, a different mental makeup inside you. That's like Mayweather. You know what I mean? You can't sleep at night. You got to get this guy back. You know what I mean? Just for the fact that people think he tested you. Forget about it. He didn't even beat you. But just for the fact that people think he beat you, you have that inside you. You either have that or you don't. And we got our answer with actions. They speak louder than words.
Teddy Atlas said it about Mike Tyson. He said, we love fighters because the character, they have to dig deep and show. And the problem with Mike is when it came to character, He didn't have that when he really needed it. So we'll see about the legacy of Gervonta Davis or whether or not he calls it career at the end of this year. Boxing Scene Today for the champs. I'm Jimmy Smith. Tune in and find out why millions are watching.
Tyson versus Roddick, he dug deep.
He did. I appreciate that.
Good fight. Really good fight.